had a fairly bad day last week, and to make myself feel better, I went out and bought like 5 plants. They were super cheap, which I guess is how I end up with so many plants. But now I need to build the shelf because I don't have any room on my windowsill for plants. So we're going to be putting together this shelf while I talk about my top 5 DANMEI. And excuse the mess. I moved about a month ago, and I guess just to save money and time, I got rid of a lot of my furniture, which included my bookshelves. So most of these boxes are books, and I have a lot of books. And as of right now, they're just in boxes because I have no place to put them. So it's a mess. My number 5 DANMEI is DANMEI Fusheng Records. I talked about this book a lot already on this page, but as of right now, I'm only on book 1, and I just find it fun and it's very enjoyable. And for number 4, Thousand Autumns, and that one is like, that book is kind of interesting, mostly because you spend like a good chunk of the series liking the main characters separately but not together. Mostly because Yan Wuxi if you read the book, you know, but Yan Wuxi is a character. He is not a great person. He is very honest about being not a good guy. And you just know. But then as the series progresses and you start to see them get close, and you're just like, oh, okay, I can see it now. In general, I just found the book to be enjoyable. I love both of the main characters, and this is also just a fun read. Now, I was a bit torn about where to put Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivations because I am obsessed with that series. I have watched the Untamed, I've watched the Donghua, I've read the manhwa. I really like that book. However, I do struggle with the format of the way the book was written, where it goes back and forth between past and present. And I found that just not really a whole lot of fun to read. It was just I guess it was a bit frustrating because literally in the first book you spend like a very short time in the present before you're switched over to the past for like half the book. So I was like really getting into the story of the present, and all of a sudden we're out of the present into another story, and then you're like, okay, then you get into the story about the past, and then it switches over to the present. So it's just the whole back and forth between past and the present that was really, I guess I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I kind of wish the book maybe did it the way the Untamed did, where it was more chronological, because maybe that would have been a bit better to like read. That's probably one book that as much as I love it, I haven't reread it. I reread parts of it, but I haven't reread the whole thing because it was just those switching back and forth I didn't care for. Number 2, QJJ is becoming one of my favorite books, and I'm a bit, like I mentioned before, I'm a bit surprised at how much I love it, because I don't usually, as you can see from this collection, I don't usually read books that don't have any fantasy or any sort of supernatural element to it. So I was very apprehensive about going into this book at first, because like it's just not the type of thing that I usually read. So I'm very happy to say that I am enjoying this book, probably because the characters are just so enjoyable, but also the story and all the political machinations. They are very interesting to try to puzzle out. And in my reread, I'll talk about this in another video, but in my reread, I've been noticing a lot of things I missed during the first time that I've read it, and it's just fun to know how much stuff I missed. Number 1 is a bit cliche, but what can I say? This was my first DANMEI. This got me into DANMEI. Actually, the Donghua got me into DANMEI because I didn't even know that this was a thing. I discovered the Donghua on Netflix, and I was just like, oh, this looks interesting, let me watch it. And I was watching, and I just became absolutely obsessed. And like season I think it was season one. Season one ended, and I just absolutely had to know what was going to happen next. So I ended up like searching for it and I found out that it was a novel. And I got into the novel, and it was just like all she wrote. For honorable mention, Husky and His White Cat Shizu, and Remnants of Filth. For Remnants of Filth, I have finished the entire series, and it is just such a beautiful series to read, and I was obsessed with it. But that is so spoilers for both Remnants of Filth and Husky and His White Cat Shizu. So those books are dark, and they will break your heart, and especially this one, this book, this series. It starts out dark, and it just stays that way for, I think, 7 books. This is literally 7 books of heartbreak. And for the first, I think it was 3 or 4 books, it was literally nothing but heartbreak. And then eventually you start getting like rays of sunshine every now and then. So it wasn't entirely heartbreaking, but this book was so sad to read, and it was just so dark. So the only reason why this is an honorable mention is because that is probably not a series I would reread. It was, like I said, it was very enjoyable. It is a beautiful story, but it's also just, it is so dark, and that is not a book I would read just for fun, you know? I don't know, maybe one day I would reread it, but when I'm in the mood. But like, if you're looking for something light to read, that is not it. But it is a good book. And as for this one I might reread certain books, but not like the entire series. Also because it is very dark. That author in general just writes. They're very good at like writing the most heartbreaking stuff. Literally, there's this kind of saying when you're writing, what's the worst thing that can happen to your characters, and then you just make it happen. And this author literally took that to heart, because like everything happens to this kid. They don't get spared for nothing. There seems to be no like plot armor for any of these characters. So like all the bad stuff happens to them. But for this one, at least you get some like light moments, and there's some like entire books that are just like fun and light. So that would be a series that I would reread certain books, but not the entire series. But also just because at the beginning, Modan, he is so frustrating at the beginning of the book. But it's also just the talent of how the author writes him, because even though he is frustrating, it doesn't make me want to like stop reading the book. But yeah, at the beginning, he is very frustrating to read, because even if you didn't get Chu Wanning's perspective in the book, you kind of get that Chu Wanning is not who Modan thinks he is. So it was just frustrating, because it's just like, my dude, you are a genius about everything, but why are you missing this? Like, it is so obvious that Chu Wanning is just like totally misunderstood, but Modan just did not get it. So it was just frustrating. So this book would probably be higher on the list, just because there were some books in this series that I would reread. But as much as I love both of these series, because they are just beautifully written series, it's just they break your heart. And with this one, the ending of this one, it was, I guess, for me at least, it was so traumatizing that I basically just had to stop. So what I'm doing now is I'm just letting the series continue. I'm gonna pick it up again when the final book comes out. I'll get the special edition of the final book, obviously, but I'm just letting it continue, because that ending was rough. So let me know, what are your top DANMEI?